Anybody that wants to take a sheet of paper or two sheets of paper there in the front and a pen in case you want to write down any ingredients. Okay, tonight is going to be a little bit of trial and error, okay? Because normally we work in fresh flowers all the time. So I have to say, like, the stock here is absolutely amazing. We were spoiled for choice. And you will find when you're working with artificial flowers is heavy containers is the trick really. Because what happens is they're very they're light, you know that way, and they can topple over pretty fast. Now I said to Paula before he came up, I said if you could get me a nice large container, which he did, you know the way. I said because I'd like to do something like large, you know, as a demonstration. And she got this container out little Aldi down the road here for $12.99. Now it is if I hadn't been here a little bit earlier, I would have robbed a few stones or gravel or and put them in the end of it. So just if you're copying this at home, you definitely need to do that, okay? Because I know myself it'll be a little bit like it looks like ceramic, but I know it will be a little bit shaky, okay? So you can see on the inside there, I have it filled with the dry floral foam. Now you can buy the dry floral foam here by the block. I think it's around 150, 160. It's much better value to buy it by the box. So if there's two of you here, buy a box between you, 23, 20. I think that was the fresh. You can check all the prices anyway. 20 something euros, I think, you know that way. And you get 20 blocks in a box. There's about 6 blocks used in this.
Yeah, actually I wouldn't, I say 5.
Five blocks used in this one there, right? So flower-wise, down on the left-hand side, I won't remember where I bought all the stuff, okay, or where I bought, I didn't buy anything, where I got the stuff. So these are the delphiniums, and they have them in fabulous shades and colours. And what I did was, I 5 stems of them. So write down in your notebook there that you have 5 stems of delphinium. They have them in blues and kind of browny colours down there, right? And using anchor tape, you know anchor tape or pot tape, there's a few seats up the front here. It's extra now for the front seats. Did you buy the premium ticket?
Oh, we did,
That's
we
okay.
did, yeah.
So what I did, rather than placing them into the floral foam individually, to see the way I bandaged them all together. So that's kind of a great trick. So I want this group of flowers in the centre. Now if you never did flower arranging in your life, you'll be well able to do this. Please say a prayer that this doesn't topple over because I haven't got the stones in the container. So it's wet. The floral foam is wedged in there, nice and tight. And what I'm going to do, hey Mary, full of grace, put me in a lucky place, and we're going to press that down into it. That's grand. And then you see the way I can manoeuvre them. So you want them to bend out a little bit. You see the way you can manoeuvre them around. But also depending on where you're going to place this in your house, if you want it kind of more front facing, you can kind of bend the flowers. Say like if you were putting it on your whole table, you could manoeuvre the flowers that they're looking one way or the other. So it's not easy. Everybody well able to do that. The next thing is they have these bunches of hydrangeas. Now I'm possibly going to use 3 or 4 of them. I don't know how many I'm going to use, right? But you can write down 3 or 4 for the moment. And this is where, to see the way I've cut them up, and I made individual flowers out of them. I also got some, and I think I got them on the right hand side, and then I got some of this foliage. See the stems there? And I cut 2 of them up. I just left that one so you could see it. So 2 of the stems I've cut up. Do you see into them little pieces? Okay? Yeah. So what I'm going to do is around the end, now you know that the floral foam is down a little bit kind of like lower down into the container. So I'm going around the edge of the container, making a little bit of a frill. But instead of sticking it right at the edge into the oasis, see the way it stick up straight, I'm kind of going in a couple of inches, you know that way, that's kind of like lying out on a slant and it's resting against the edge. So this is kind of giving me a little bit of a frill. Now I liked that colour with this shade of flower. You might kind of prefer a darker one, or you might even prefer the green shade. It's completely up to yourself. But the trick is with artificial flowers, and again, like even this evening when you're going around, now it's obviously personal taste at the end of the day, is sometimes I pick out the container, and like when I came in this evening, Paula had this container, right? And then in my head I said, right, I want to get a bit of height, but I need a bit of weight, okay? You need a bit of fat around your arse, a bit of fat around the stomach part of the arrangement, right? So this is where I'm going to use the hydrangeas. But I was going around the shop here looking at the items. These caught my eye. So I had a few of them in my hand, and then I was going around, and then I picked up these, and I just really thought, like, a contrast, that's going to work. And then I picked up the leaf, and I contrasted that against it. And now some of you might say, that's sick, I don't like that colour. But I liked it, I thought it kind of worked. And then I spotted this kind of like seed head, don't know what the proper name is, see this one? And I said, you know what, that's going to work really well. So it's really important that when you're picking out your silk flowers, pick up something and then walk around holding it in your hand. Now don't just say, again I was giving out to Paula this evening, she'd often send me some samples to show, you know, when at the school. And we say, oh God, this great little box of tricks. And I open the box and there's one bunch of red roses, one bunch of blue something else, one bunch of yellow something else. I gave out more to her this evening and one bunch of something else. And I could do feck all with it, you know what I mean, because nothing complements each other. So I warned her this evening, the next time you're sending me a box, I said make sure that all the shades complement each other or go together, because then you can make an arrangement. So this advice for you is when you're going around there this evening, don't pick up the red roses and say, oh, I love them red roses, and I love them blue hydrangeas, and I love them yellow delphiniums. You feck all to make an arrangement with. Kind of go for shades or contrasts, or obviously if you like the reds and the blues and the yellows, obviously bloody well go. So anyway, I have a bit of leaf around the edge there, right? And I will place this kind of like down lower on the table. But now I'm going to go around with the hydrangeas, and I'm basically filling in the end of it, okay? With the stems, you see the way I've cut it up. So there, you see the way I have 3 of them in there so far, right? And again, I'll work around here. And again, I'm placing these in on a slant so that they're kind of like slightly resting out. So that's one bunch used up. So now we'll cut up the second bunch. There's 5 on the bunch. What's the price of these, Paula or Charlie?
$9.90 a bunch.
$9.90. So you can see, like, they're working out with great value. There is a magic bin underneath there in case you're wondering. I'm not throwing anything on the floor. So we're going around there. So we've 5, 6, get another one in there, 7. You can always shift one around a little bit, put an extra one in. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work around the middle area, right? So I'm now onto my 3rd bunch. There we go. Put these up. Again, if anybody has any questions at all, just shout up there. I might know the answer. Probably won't know the answer for the prices of the flowers and stuff. But Paula and that and Charlie, they'll be able to help you. And Leonie, we met Leonie there this evening. So that took the 3 bunches, you know what I mean, of the hydrangeas. So again, just turn it around. Now, if you never did flower arranging, would you be able to do this so far? Next thing then is I have this little seed head. So I'm using 2 stems of this. So again, I'm going to cut it up. So there we go. If any of them are not long enough, what I'll be able to do is, let's see will this work. Sometimes when you're trying to cut a real thick stem, I don't know whether this will work, okay? I normally kind of gnaw at it with my scissors, and then I break it. Yeah, it worked. And you see, that's the easiest way. You'll there be wrecking your scissors trying to cut through to see massive big thick stems like that. So gnaw at it with your scissors kind of around the outside of the fleshy part, and then do that. See how easy it was? Like, I was hoping it was going to work there. But that's what I do in school all the time, and keep them because I want all them bits later on. So what I'm now going to do is just add them little seed heads.
Just Jeanette, you've a good few people watching in on YouTube at the moment, so
we better introduce ourselves.
you better introduce
So big
yourself.
welcome everybody that is watching on YouTube. Welcome to Evergreen Silk Plants up here in RD, County Louth. That's the Louth accent on me. So be sick of the Dublin accent again this evening. So tonight we're here doing a demonstration using artificial flowers, and it's all to raise funds for the RD and district cancer support. So we're looking for lots and lots of donations. Now I haven't said this to yourselves here earlier, some of you might have heard me on Instagram. We're giving away a free online artificial flower arranging class to everyone in the audience that makes a donation. Now when you make a donation, Charlie's going to rubber stamp their arses, isn't
Yeah.
it? He's going to put a rubber stamp on the back of your bum, okay, that we know you've made the donation, and then we'll tell you how you get your free course. So these are little baskets, or little bags, that he has down the end on the right hand side. They're absolutely fabulous. And one of the demonstrations is using this bag and using all the materials that's available here. But you know, when you're at a demonstration like this, there's a good feel of you. Even when you're in the front, you're still far away, and it's hard for you to see. I'll put this down lower afterwards. It's hard for you to see kind of down into it. When we're doing our videos and we're pre-recording them, Deirdre can come in close, you know, that way, and you can see all the detail. And where I might say this evening, I'm wiring that or taping that, but it's hard to see it up close. But again, in the video you will. So to give you an idea, because obviously I teach online all the time, and when people hear online, they're kind of saying, oh, like, will you learn anything? I know you will learn loads by just this one video class. You know, as I said, I'll be using them little bags. So when you're going home this evening, pick yourself up one of them bags. If you have the rubber stamp on your bum, you will get the free link, okay, for the free class. So anybody that's watching there, I don't know who we're going to get to put the link in the
Leonie is
comments.
going to do it, isn't she? Where is she?
Leonie,
Yes.
if you can put the link in the comments up on the YouTube channel, and the link is for the GoFundMe for RD District Cancer Support. And again, click in there, make a little donation there, and then don't make it we don't want any coins in the box. We don't want the boxes rattling, okay? 50 euro notes, 20 euro notes, it's all for a great cause, 10 euros, 5 euros, and obviously you can put in coins, we're only slagging. But we want to raise as much money as possible. I set a target of 1,000 and Deirdre said that's too small. So prove me wrong, okay? So make yourselves a decent donation. Now what I'm now going to do is just cut up a few more stems of this leaf. So do you remember earlier on I said probably 2 stems? But I said I might go on to the 3rd. So change your notes there, everybody. I have went on to the 3rd. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of the leaf coming up in between the hydrangeas. So this arrangement would do like down on a fireplace. You know if somebody had like say a display and you want a floor arrangement, well yet you're getting a bit of height, okay? And like this part, I know you're looking at it from a funny angle, but when you look down into it, like you'll see the detail.
Sorry, Jeanette, somebody's just asking again, where did you get that container?
So that container is, we shouldn't be promoting Lidl here tonight now, you know that way. But unfortunately, Evergreen Silk Plants didn't have the container. Lidl or Aldi, was it? Aldi. So Aldi in RD, but I'm sure every RD in the every Aldi in the country has them. They're only $12.99. They are pretty light, okay? And again, if you rewind and watch this video, you'll see it from the beginning where I did suggest putting maybe stones or that. But you know, to be honest, I'm actually happy enough with this one. You know that I was a little bit nervous at the beginning. So I used 3 bunches of these, 5 of the delphinium, I think it was 2 bunches of the seed head and 3 stems of the leaf, okay? All the materials are all available here. Again, if you like, you might say, you know what, that's shit. Don't want to copy that one. But if you do like it, don't tell me to my face you don't like it. If you do like it and you want to buy the materials, it's all available here. So somebody might take that down for me there, put it on the floor maybe in the front, and just that if they can see it then looking down on it. So
What did that come in at, Paula?
Yeah, the next,
How much? $89.30, that's what it cost.
there you
Yeah,
go.
that's
Now,
lovely.
the next arrangement, I have a few people asking me about grave arrangements, and this one is a little bit harder. That was for the beginner. This one is probably more for the intermediate advanced, okay? So you need to take notes as I go along. And obviously, unfortunately, you're at a funny angle. Do you know that way to see this? Where I do this with my students on my module 2. Now, we do it in fresh flowers, and I know I have some of the students here tonight. And it's called a mock hand-tied. So maybe in the past you've got a bouquet of flowers as a present and it was called a hand-tied bouquet of flowers. So this is called a mock hand-tied. So as a Dublin person, we say a letting on hand-tied, a pretend hand-tied, not a real one. It looks like it, okay? So that's what this is. It's a pretend, a letting on, as we say in Dublin, a letting on hand-tied bouquet. But it's going to look like a bouquet of flowers lying on the grave. Now you can put it on your coffee table if you want to, right? But it's designed to go on a grave. So whether it's a remembrance spray is the word we use for going on graves, a funeral spray, a coffin spray, a casket spray. So as I said, with our students on Module 2, we do teach them how to do it in fresh flowers. So I've never done one in art. I don't think I've ever done one in artificial. So again, just say a prayer. Hey Mary, full grace, puts in a little place, and we just see how it goes. If it does turn out crap, we just turn off the camera, and nobody will know. So, with this arrangement, everything is going away from my stomach, okay? Now, I will hold it up ever so often to let you see it. These are called spray trays, they're down on that aisle there, and it's a block of oasis. Now, I thought coming up to RD, sure Jesus, there has to be loads of moss up here. Moss countries, the whole lot of you, I thought. And anyway, I arrived up here and I said I should have went to Sligo and brought a bag of moss with me. Couldn't get any moss, so I had to spray the oasis green before I started. But ideally, right, and I'm sure if I went down the road a little bit, just had the high heels on tonight and the gammy leg, get some fresh moss if you're able to get it. Just put it in a cardboard box, let all the little earwigs run away, do you know the way, and just let it dry out in the cardboard box. Like, we're going to have summer on Saturday, by the way, in Ireland. So just stick it out in the sun, all the maggots will all run away, and then just place the moss lightly over the block of oasis. And if there was a wire there, I did have wires somewhere.
Oh, over the far side, and they're in the wooden, to your left.
Oh yeah, see them there. So if you get yourself a wire and cut it into that length, whatever length you want to call that, right? And bend it over in half. Can you see? It's hard for you to see, but can you see that little clip? It's like clips for putting in your hair, right? And place the moss on real lightly over the oasis, and then just pin it on. It'll be absolutely perfect, and it's a great tip for doing artificial arrangements. If you can't get the moss, so if you're up in Ardeen and you can't get moss, use green spray. And you'll get the sprays in Lidl or Aldi or car paint shops or Mr. Price, all these places, you know that way. And at Christmas, if you're doing Christmas stuff, get gold spray and spray the Oasis gold. Silver spray, spray silver. If you're doing a black arrangement for Halloween, get black spray. Charlie will have sprays for sale next week, he will, won't you, Charlie? So we're going to start off with the greenery first. And let me see. So I'm going to cut this down about that length, right? And as I said, everything is going away from my stomach, and it's lying down. This is now a grave, okay? So it's lying down on the grave, and that's what it's going to look like. You see the first piece, right? Now, at the oasis that's near my stomach, I'm going to cut two smaller pieces, and they're going to be like two wings, okay? They're going to be kind of like, do you see that sort of an angle? But again, I'm placing them on the grave, and they're resting, as you see, on the grave, but they're all facing, can you see, in your angle there, like your direction. So again, I have these two pieces in, we'll hold it up, and do you get the idea? Yeah. Now you cop it on that I need a piece in here, and I need a piece in here, right? So that's called cop on, that's how you know you're a florist. So we're going to cut two pieces, haven't got time to take all the stickers off them, and I'm going to stick one in that side, and one in the other side, and hopefully I have another stem in them. Can anybody see the other stem?
No.
Maybe fell down, did it? Okay, Paula, run down there and get another stem for me. So while Paula is gone looking for another stem for me, I'm now getting these Lysianthus. Now we use fresh Lysianthus at the school all the time. And what I love, thanks a million, what I love about the Lysianthus, what you see is what you get in fresh flowers. It's not like you're buying carnations and you're saying, I wonder will these feckin' things open? Or lilies, I know two queries today about lilies trying to get them open. With Lysianthus, when you buy them in fresh, what you see is what you get. And great thing about artificial, same thing, what you see is what you get. So I'll come back to them now in a second. So at the oasis that's at my stomach down here, I'm going to cut a short little piece, right? And I'm going to have it facing you, because remember that's the rule, every piece of greenery is facing you. Can you see the way I've just stuck that one in, right? And cop on is probably telling you, hidey high, hidey high. Can you see them two gaps there, right? So again, I'm going to cut a piece of greenery. These are probably in the wrong angle there when I'm cutting. Pieces will fly across the table. And I'm going to put one on the right, facing you, and one on the left, facing you. And I'll hold this up now in a second, okay? So you get the idea?
Just show here as well.
See the oasis there looking at you, right? Okay, I'm going to cheat now and I'm going to turn it to me. But the pieces of greenery are now going to look at my chest, okay? So they're still going in the same direction. So again, cutting up the piece, and I'm going to put this piece in first. Now this is where I'd love to be in a pub now playing darts. 160. Do you get the idea, right? And then you're going to get another dart. 100. I don't know darts. 140. Do you know that way? What's another number? You're a crap on it. But 180. You see where I'm just sticking in the little pieces there. So again, I'll just hold it up so you can kind of get an idea of, to see how it's working. Now don't overdo the foliage. Wait till you get the flowers in, and then we'll send Paula running down the room there if we need more in afterwards. So hopefully, I've lost count of how many stems of that I had. So now we're on to our Lysianthus. So I want to cut one stem. So again, I'm going to try that. That will actually cut real easy. I was going to say I'll try that trick, but it worked real easy. So, do you remember the first piece of greenery that I put in? I'm going to put a stem of Lysianthus resting down on top of that piece of greenery. Yeah. Okay. Now, can anyone guess where the next two pieces are going to go? Exactly, yeah. You see, the arrangement starts to talk to you after a while, and I call that using your cop on. And you either have cop on or you have no cop on. You know that way, you're either born with it or you're not born with it. So hopefully there's a few people here in the audience have a bit of cop on. So one is going on the right hand side, lying on the grave, facing you. Do you understand? That's the rule. And the other one is going on the opposite side, lying on the grave, and again we hold it up. Do you see that shape there so far? And I know you're probably saying, what about the right, what about the left, what I did with the greenery? But I want to try and spare them because this is what I have left, okay? And I want to mix other flowers through it. So the thing is, you don't get carried away, because what will happen is, I'll have all the Lysianthus on the outside and no Lysianthus, you see, in the middle. So in flower arranging, in traditional flower arranging, that would have been called modern. This would be called traditional. So in traditional flower arranging, it's important that you divide up the flowers as evenly and as best you can. That when I look at the arrangement, I kind of say there's a little bit of Lysianthus everywhere in the arrangement. You know when you've 1 tin of peas and there's 7 people for the dinner? And you all just get 1 teaspoon of peas. So everybody got peas in the audience, you know what I mean? And if you've only 3 sausages and there's 6 people, they all get a half a sausage. So that's kind of what it is with flower arranging, is try and divide up your flowers that everybody gets a little bit. And when I say everybody, every part of the flower arrangement gets a little bit. So I'm just dividing up these couple of stems. Do you see what I'm just dividing them up? Again, everything is looking in your direction, and I've one fecky little bud here, I'll stick that down there. And I'll just hold that up there. Can you see how that came together, right? So now I'm moving on to another flower. So we've spoilt for choice. And I'm supposed to be keeping all my rubbish, but it's in the magic bin here, right? So I'm going to start off now, and I'm going to bring a rose out to the right-hand side. Remember earlier on where you said you should have put a flower in there? Yeah. And now I'm going to put one in on the left-hand side. I've 10 of these roses, in case you want to write that down. And if any of them stems go flying across the room, bring them back to me, because I need them, okay, later on. So I've one on the right and one on the left. Can you see how it's working out? And now down in the bottom of the arrangement, you see down here, I'm also going to put 2 roses there, like what I did with the greenery, one on the right and one on the left. Again, I have to say, these are cutting great with us. I was dreading cutting the artificial flowers, because sometimes they can be really hard to work with. Again, I just hold that up. You can see it all coming together. Now I know that somebody's having a heart attack about the baldy piece of oasis at the bottom. That's the surprise, so don't be panicking, I've something planned for that. I'm now going to cheat and I'm going to turn it around to me, because I need to look at this side of the arrangement, right? So using the rest of the roses, you know, like what I did with the greenery, but all the flowers are facing my chest, okay? And I'm going to try and divide them up as best I can. Now, to be honest, I haven't got enough time here this evening for explaining what we call the number system. But in flower arranging, in traditional flower arrangements, we have what's called the number system. And it can either be the 3-point, the 5-point, the 7-point, the 9 points, you get it, it's all uneven numbers, the 11s or the 13s, okay? And I know I'm putting 10 in here, but I've actually put in the 7 points there without you realising. And then the 3 spare ones, I'm just sticking them anywhere that I want to. Again, it's a bit like that tin of peas. They're all getting a few. I'll turn this around to you now in a second, just so that you can see what it's looking like. See the effect? And then I'm going to hold it up this way. Do you see they all have peas and sausages? Everybody has a few peas, everybody has a few sausages, right? So that's the rule with the arrangement. I'm not finished. So now I'm moving on to the baby carnations. These are real cheap, because I know we use these. I used them for that little basket that I showed you. Remember the bag at the beginning? I used them little carnations for it. I thought they were great value. And I think there's about 5 or 6 of these little sprigs of flowers. I think 6 actually. Do you see out that one bunch? So that's the great thing about artificial, is you get great mileage out of it. And if a flower isn't long enough, I could just add a wire to it. So just along the very bottom of the arrangement here, I'm putting a few little flowers along kind of the bottom of it. And you see how they're all looking at you. So again, I'm going to hold that up there, that you can see it there, to see at the bottom. And then I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to look at my side, okay? Because then it's easier for me to divide up the flowers, okay? So that was just one stem that's gone in so far. You see mostly down around the bottom part of the arrangement. And then I'm going to turn it around and I have another stem. Now, if I had the RD moss, can you see the way I would have had the greenery coming out through it as well? So it is something to think about. And that's why spraying the oasis does actually help. But the moss is even better, so you can get yourself moss. Now, seemingly, you have to cover myself here from a legal point of view. It's illegal to rob moss, okay? But everybody has
Unless it's from your own garden.
What?
Unless it's from your own garden.
Someone else's garden.
Now, if it's in someone else's garden, that's okay as well. You know that way. But you're not supposed to go up the mountains. I'm not sure if we have mountains here, but you're not supposed to go up the mountains robbing moss. But there's a great place up in Glendalough. So I heard. And all you do is you bring a little plastic bag with you in case your dog does a big poo. We're not supposed to do that later. But there is a great place up in Glenlock. And it's a nice healthy walk at the same time. Now, I need a little bit of length on these two little sprigs, okay? Because what I want to try and do is bring them up to see into the top of the arrangements, and just they're not long enough. So this is where you should get yourself a roll of this green gutta tape. And in the video that you're going to get free, when you have the rubber stamp on your bum, when you've made that big donation, I show you up close and personal how I'm actually doing this, right? So you need some wires, and I recommend that you get 20 gauge wires, and I'm going to use 2 of them together at the same time. So I'm going to take up one of the little sprigs, and down where the leaves are, kind of imagine that like a fork or a V, I'm going to hook the wires in through it and bend it over. And now I know it's very hard to see it from a distance, but can you see I've just hooked it around? Yeah. And then I'm going to get this gutta tape. Now with the gutta tape, it doesn't feel sticky. The heat of your hand and the stretch it makes it sticky. Now what I'm doing there, you won't be at that stage, okay? But if you watch the video that you're going to get for free, I show you step by step how I do it, okay? And you see the way I've made the longer stem on it. I'm going to do another one. So again, get yourself 2 wires. If it was lighter, I might get away with 1 wire, but I know this is just that little bit heavier. So again, the little branches at the bottom here, I'm going to hook the wires through, bend them over. We call this a little hairpin bend. Tuck the gutta tape around it, and again, roll and pull, roll and pull, roll and pull. It takes me about 10 minutes to do that in slow motion to show you, and I don't want to waste time this evening. As I said, I do have it on the video. So I'm going to turn that around to me now, and this is where I get the extra little bit of length up where I just need the extra baby carnations. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, where will I go? And again, if I had a few more peas, I'd put some over that side. Can anybody see another one? Doesn't matter, we'll manage without it for the moment. Can you see what it's looking like? Yeah. Okay, now the other end that's driving me is all mad. You see down there, right? So this is where I need all the rubbish. Will you start taking the stickers off down there for me if you don't mind? Thanks, Amelia. There we go. So this is where I need all the rubbish, all the stems off the flowers. And as I said, I've loads of them on the floor here as well. And some of the thick ones are even better. And even if they're ones, they're probably off the ones from earlier on. Do you know that way? So I'm cutting up these ones. Again, this is the one I have to do that little trick with. There you go, to cut them up shorter. Now what I'm trying to do, in case you're wondering, I'm trying to make these look like these are the actual stems of the flowers, which they probably are. Do you know that way? Like most of them that I have here is the actual stems of the flowers. And do you remember I said, thanks Amelia, do you remember I said this is what we call a mock hand tied, a pretend hand tied, right? So I want to look like it is a bouquet of flowers. But at the moment it just looks like a flower arrangement on that end with a baldy piece of oasis on the opposite end. These stickers are all sticking to me. I'm going to cut that piece off. It's the handiest if it comes off. So what I'm going to try and do is make it look like the, thanks Amelia, if you take that off, is make it look like the stalks of the flowers came through the other side. Of course, this one wouldn't break. Here we go, nearly there. Then I should have organised this area, but sure. I was out having a cup of tea, which is right. So here we are, just about. Cut this one a bit smaller as well. And if there's a bit of foliage on them, that's fine as well, because if it was fresh flowers, you'd have a little bit of leaf, you know, on the stems. So you needn't worry about taking all the leaves off. So to see the effects that I have here, see all our stems, and we have little skinny ones and we have fat ones, so it's a bit like everyone in the audience. There's a fat one and a skinny one and so on. Now what I'm going to do is on the other end of the oasis, I'm going to pretend that that tall Lysianthus, let's tidy off the end of this one, there's my scissors. There we go. This one's just a bit untidy at the end. Now again, if I was in the shop, I'd be spending a little bit more time kind of tidying things up, but I have 5 arrangements and I want to try and get through the 5 of them tonight. So I'm going to pretend that that Lysianthus shot through and came out there. And do you remember the side one that I put in? That shot through and that came out there. And do you remember the other corner one? And that shot through and that came out over there. And do you remember the one that was in between, you know, on the side? That shot through and that came out there. And that one shot through and that one came out there. And then I started filling in kind of at the bottom of the arrangement, and they all shot through the oasis and they all came out through there as well. You get the idea? Skinny ones, fat ones, medium ones, Weight Watcher ones, ones that haven't been going to the gym in ages, and so on, right? So we're sticking them all in there, and ideally the moss would be fantastic for this end, you know that way? So if somebody makes one of these, like get yourself a bit of moss, and I know I'm going to send Paula out tomorrow, and she's going to get a bit of moss and she's going to pin it in there, you know, the way to hide it. But I'm just going to cut off these little, actually, we leave them on. There we go. Loads of little stems, all came through the other end. I'm just going to turn it around to me so I can get a better chunk at it. There we go. So, just to hold it up so far, just to give the idea, right? We're not finished yet. So then I have some ribbon. So I did get pink and a lilac ribbon. This one looks like satin. I just wondered, that's not actually organza, is it?
No, that's satin. The other one's organza.
Yeah, the other, I'll go for this one. Okay, so we'll go for a little bit of organza ribbon. So, cut yourself a strip, about that length, and then cut yourself another strip, about the same length. Chances are one is longer than the other. Doesn't make any odds. And you know what? I'm going to go for the third one because it's a bit
See-through.
skimpy. What?
See-through.
Bit see-through. Bit like my dress earlier on. I was coming down after being up with Carol, and Deirdre said, you know, you can see your knickers through that dress. I said, is that at the back? And she said, yeah. And then she looked, the inside was all cut up around the knickers. So all I'm doing is put the three of them together, okay? And when I'm making this bow, I kind of pretend that I'm putting a scarf, you see, around your neck, right? But you can't actually make it on your own neck. So again, wrap it around your neck, cross under your chin. Grab the back of the neck, and all of these videos, how to make the bows, are all on YouTube. So if you just search up Case Flare School on YouTube, you'll see them all in slow motion. The first time you do it with one piece of ribbon, and then the second and the third time. So you catch the back of the neck and you bring it into the front of the neck. You see that sort of effect? And then you get yourself a wire, and a taped wire would be ideal, but I haven't got a taped one. And you wrap the wire around the centre of it really, really tight. You pinch it together, and you wrap one around the other. Some of you don't like, you know, wrap it around there really tight, okay? And then you come along and you can fluff it out, you see, as fluffy as you want. It's up to yourself, or you can leave it. And then you grab all the tails together and you cut them all the same length. So you can see why I didn't bother me arse measuring them at the beginning, because I knew I was going to do that anyway. And there's your bow made. Now a little trick, before you put the bow in, bend it up in a hook, you know, like a U-bend. Stick it into the oasis, so it's going in that gap between the flowers and the stalks, okay? Because it's supposed to give, hopefully I'm working, it's supposed to give the impression that the bunch of flowers, the mock hand tied, is tied with a bow, and the stalks are all coming out the other end. Now again, if I had moss in there, I have to cover myself, but a bit moss in there would even be better, you know. And again, can you imagine that line on your loved one's grave? Isn't it beautiful? And again, wouldn't cost an awful lot of money, and I think it'll be easy. Now this video will be up on YouTube, so you can always rewind it, or, you know, go back and have a second look at it. I'll give you that one there. Stick that on the grave down there. Okay, now what's the next one I have in mind? Oh, let me see. Okay. You could glue them, but you will find with the dry oasis, you know, that way it's, you know, it's quite secure, but you could. If you found it was going to a madhouse with A, D, H, D, E, F, G, K, I, L, M, N, O, P kids, we'll just put a bit of glue on the end of it just to make sure. Probably shouldn't have said that on video. That probably wasn't ethically right to say, so apologies. Okay, so let me see what we have. Now, I know yourself was asking me about these twig rings. What did you call them? You did a different name for them. Rackets.
Yeah.
So, everybody that does these rings, they do them as wall hangings, okay? So I decided to do something a bit different this evening. And you see the way I've wired two of them together. And in the centre, you see the way I have a posy dish, okay? And I have the block of oasis sitting on the posy dish. Now, to tell you a few little cheats, okay, that I did. So I got a couple of wires because I did this at the beginning. You definitely see me knickers there when I bend over. Okay, so got some good tape, got the 20 gauge wires, and I taped the wires, okay? Now I had to do a good few of these. So tape the wire. This is exactly what I did to the silk flare, only it's easier when there's no flares on it. It's just raw wires on their own. So I taped two wires together. And when you're buying wires, they go up to, you can actually get 14-inch length, but I think these are 10s or 12s, but they're never long enough anyway, even if you have the 14. So crisscross them like an X and twist them together like barbed wire. You see them just twisting them together. You can always come up close and look at this. And then what I did was I kind of like stabbed it down through, do you know that way? And I was able to twist them together. But I'm going to hold this upside down. Do you see where the posy dish is sitting in the middle? Okay? If you look underneath, can you see what I made? So using the wires, I made like a grid that couldn't fall through the hole in the middle. And then I had the posy dish, put the oasis in, and again I used the wires, do you see, going across the top there to strap it in. So there was a bit of preparation done, but you know what I mean, it's just an alternative way of using these rings. And they have them in every colour down there, and there's natural ones as well. I just, you know us, we love pink, you know that way, so we kind of went for them colours. So this time I'm using a couple of stems of these. I think I've 3 of them actually, but again, I'm not sure whether I'm going to use 2 or I'm going to use 3, or I'm going to have Paula running down there like a blue arse fly looking for another stem. Because as I said, we've never done a silk demonstration before. You know, we arrived here we're supposed to be here at 3, but we arrived here at 4:10 this evening, and it was like that shopping trolley concert, you know, they running up and down there saying what we use. So I have 3 stems of these. They have these in different colours down there. I thought these were lovely. Do you see the peonies? I have a couple of the calla lilies. Aren't they gorgeous? I think they were on heads, and then I got Charlie to stick them onto stems. So if you don't see them, maybe just ask Charlie about them. You might have to buy the heads and put them onto the stems yourself. And there's a couple of the roses as well. I think I had 5 roses and 5 of the calla lilies. There's probably only 4 there when I find them. 1 bunch of them, 1 bunch of this leaf. Might need a bit more of that in a while. And 3 bunches of that, and I might even use the 3 of them, seeing how I go. Did I have that eucalyptus for something else? Okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, where'd I go? So I'm going to start off with 1 of these stems. And again, when you're at home, take off all the stickers.
Are you designing this, Jeanette?
I'm designing this. So I had to get a pain in my arse with all the flowers who call themselves designers, you know that way? And I just say, they're only making it up as you go along. So that's what I'm actually doing here tonight. I'm making this up, chancing my arm, and hoping the feck it goes good. That you'll all donate, okay, to raise funds for the RD and district. And anybody that's watching us there live, give them all a wave. Anybody that's watching us live, remember, if you make a donation in the GoFundMe box, it'll be in the comments, because we always put it in the comments, yeah. So if you make a donation, we will actually send you the details where you can download a free online course, how to make a bag silk flower arrangement. And again, you'll see all the close-up detail, and you'll see all that wiring and gutted tape. And it's for a great charity. So even if you're never going to make a flower arrangement, go and send in €50 there, at least, or 100, 200. Okay, so I have this stem. I'm going to come up about that height, and we'll see how these cut. And again, you could put the glue on these if you want. So I'm going to make this kind of front facing. So I'm going to start, when you're making an arrangement and it's front facing and you're adding in a flower for a bit of height, don't put it in dead straight. Because if you put it in dead straight, I'm trying to stand dead straight here, you think I was going to fall over. But you know the way naturally, you kind of, and especially if there's something behind you, you lie against it. So when you're putting what's supposed to be the straight piece at the back, you know that way, slightly tilt it away. And I always say to the students, it's as if you had a glass of wine. Now some of them think they had a bottle of wine and they lie it back like that. Like a glass, a small glass, just natural, you know. And again, if any of them have been on my module 1, I know Cleona and Olivia have, I actually nearly demonstrate me resting against the wall, you know what I mean, and my legs kind of out from the wall. Where if I put my ankles back here against, and you all know I have a gammy leg, in case you're saying she looks like she has a false leg on, and a sore tie on. But if I put my ankles back here against the wall, I will actually fall over. So naturally you bring your feet forward and you lie back against the wall. So think of that when you're making your flower arrangements, okay? Bring your feet slightly forward on the oasis. You know the way you'd all go there at the back. Bring your feet slightly forward, and then lie against the mirror or the wall or whatever it is. And you will find with artificial flowers, like stick them down, that one went in crooked, that shouldn't have happened. Stick them down a good bit into the floral foam, do you know that way, to make sure that they're really secure. And like that girl said, yeah, you could put a dab of glue on the end of it. But so we're in a rush here tonight. How are we going for time? 10 to 8. Because I want to try and get, I'll be on time, I'll be doing grand.
Yeah, no, you're okay.
I was saying, well, I get 5 arrangements done in that space of time. So here I have a second stem, and anybody wants afterwards to go into my magic bin and pick up all the rubbish, and they can make a mock hand tied out of it later. So then I have a second stem, and I'm just going to step it down just a little bit shorter, and I'll turn this around to you now in a second, okay? So see that I'm just getting a little bit of height. And I'm trying to make it look like they're nearly all kind of like growing together. You know, that was just the one stem. And I'm now going to get the third stem, and I'm going to do something similar. You can nearly see the little gap where the other one is going to fit in there, you know. And that was making up, because I didn't plan that, that happened. And again, you copped onto it, so that means you had the cop on, so you could see that gap. That just be half the battle when you take up flare arranging, is that can you see the cop on spots in the arrangement? We get a lot of, I'm going to say foreigners, non-nationals, people in different countries, because cop on is something that the Irish use. Cop on to yourself, you fucking idiot, you know that we use that word, we all know what it means, okay? That young one and all is laughing there. Everyone knows what it means. But like when I get like say Dutch students and German students and they're saying cop on, well like what does it mean? I said like if there was a puddle of water on the ground, like you can walk into it or you can walk around it. Or if you had cop on, you'd get a mop and you'd mop it up, you know that way, so nobody'd slip. And you can't teach it, you either have it or you haven't got it. So I'm going to bring down our third step, a little bit shorter, down into arrangement, and hopefully filling in that cop on spot, okay? Again, just so you can see it. And as I turn around, can you see the line back, the glass of wine? Not a bottle, a glass of wine, okay? Just kind of like resting down there slightly. Right, now I'm going to work on the peonies. I love these. Don't know what price these are, okay? But again, there's some fantastic flowers, and they're all different lengths as well. So I'm going to cut them all up, like individually. Daisies. So, again, hopefully they'll cut easy enough. Yeah, they're not too bad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's 5 of them. So, because it's only 5, I'll nearly be able to teach you these numbers, okay? So write it down as you go along. So what you normally do is you place a peony, a flower, whatever flower you want to use, okay? You place it near the bottom of the oasis, okay? Kind of slightly resting out over the container. I'm going to turn this around in a second. And that, believe it or not, is actually number 2. Now, even though you're probably saying, you put it in first, but I'm teaching you backwards, okay? So that actually is called, you see your number 2 flower. I'll explain it in order afterwards. Now, slightly above that flower, looking for the shorter ones, slightly above that flower, to the right hand, no, my left, slightly to my left hand side, I'm going to add in this flower here. And this is actually called number 5, okay? So again, I'll just turn it around to you. Can you see the way it's stepped above it? Yeah. But it is to your left as well, yeah? It's to my left, just slightly. And there was a bit of leaf cut off there, I'll find it in a second. And I'll probably just use that stuck in there, to see, to hide the oasis. Now I'm going to add another flower, and I'm going to go slightly above that again. And this time it's going to be called number 3. Now this is the third flower that I'm putting in, but this is called your number 3. So slightly above it, slightly to the other side, pushing down number 5, a tiny fraction, little bit. That's the great thing about artificial. You can bend them and maneuver them. Stick that bit of greenery in there to hide a bit of oasis. And that is my number 3. Do you see the way I'm bringing them up? So what you're looking for is a zigzag. But also what you're looking for is that you're not pregnant, okay? So hopefully, unless you came here pregnant tonight, that's okay. If you didn't, you don't go home pregnant. Flowers, well, normally fresh flowers make you very fertile. The amount of students, when we did classroom-based courses, and this is true, Deirdre, the amount of them that came that were having problems, and I was going to say their husband, their doctor said, take time off work, do something relaxing. They all think flower arranging is relaxing, and the IVF will work. And they'd come to me and they'd say, you know, similar story. And I say, listen, you come in that door, whatever it is about flowers, makes you very fertile. You make an arrangement, you go home, your husband thinks you're great, takes advantage, you have a young one in the audience, and it all happens. And I tell you, we had a better success rate of IVF than the Victoria Hospital, and I'm not exaggerating. So if you don't want to get pregnant, stay away from the flowers. If you want to get pregnant, make a fresh flower arrangement. Okay, the next flower, I'm going to go slightly above that, and I'm going to go to the opposite side, and this is going to be my number 4, okay? So I will explain the numbers in a few minutes to you, right? Because you might say, geez, why is she doing the numbers all in that angle there? So again, we just turn it around. So this is 4, this is 3, this is 5, and this is 2. That's really confusing, isn't it? But we learn the numbers with our students that eventually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There actually is a system. But just I'm actually teaching you a simpler way with the stepping up. And then if you can write the numbers down in your notebook, it'll be really handy. And then the last flower, just above that again, is going to be the number 1. But obviously it's not long enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the artificial stem off the floor. I'm going to rest it against it. The gusset tape is on the floor as well. It's walked into the bloody place here. So we're going to get some gusset tape. I'm going to pull off that leaf there in a second. So we'll catch it in there. And I'm basically making a false stem because the wire mightn't be strong enough, do you know, the way to hold the weight of that flower. So I'm going to gusset tape this silk peony onto the plastic stem from, I don't know what flower that was off. Okay. It'll be hidden in among the other stuff. You won't even see it afterwards. Do you see the way this stem is nice and strong? The wire wouldn't have been strong. I would have happened to use 4 or 5 wires to get that strength. So, like at the school, I'm always telling the students, throw feckin' nothing out. You know that way. Go around after me, pick up all the rubbish off the floor. So now I'm going to go slightly above that, and this time I'm going to keep it more in the middle rather than kind of go right or left. I'm keeping it slightly in the centre. And because the stem is a bit untidy and messy looking, I'm wiggling it down in between them other stems. Jesus, Jeanette, you're a genius. You measured that one just feckin' perfect. Stick it in there. I actually fascinate myself sometimes. And just lie it back there a little bit, just a glass of wine there for yourself. And there, can you see the way we have our 5 flowers? Now, the proper way for the numbers, number 1, number 2, 3 is halfway. 4 is halfway between the 3 and the 1, and 5 is halfway between the 3 and the 2. And you picked all that up in 10 minutes, fair play to you. You definitely want to be a florist, because that takes me about an hour and a half or 2 hours to teach the students, okay? So at least, hopefully you've learned something there. So now I'm moving on to this stem of, actually don't know what this is supposed to be. Anybody know what it's supposed to be? It's nice anyway. So I'm cutting this up, trying to get good value out of it. And again, with this arrangement, I would love if I had a bit of moss, because again, you see, for covering in my mechanics at the back, I know I was cutting up some of the artificial leaf and I was kind of sticking it in. So I'm going to bring a little bit of leaf out to this side. I'm going to bring a little bit of leaf out to the other side. I don't want it to make it look kind of like triangular as such. So I'm kind of going to go a little bit irregular. I'm going to bring a little bit of leaf. I'm going to cut that one smaller. As I said, I'm making it up as I go along. I'm going to add in a little bit of leaf there, just turn around to you for a second, just so you can kind of get an idea what I'm doing. Because I haven't got a clue myself what I'm doing, right? So I'm just making, I swear to God, just going along there. I'm going to cut this one a bit smaller. And with fresh foliage, we can do the same. Like, you know what I mean? We can cut the pieces like into smaller little sprigs and to get good value out of it. And fresh foliage is quite expensive, you know. So when you're out in your garden or somebody else's garden and you're able to get like, you know, any fresh foliage, get your hands on it. And with the artificial stuff, if you have that left over, don't throw it in the bin. Do you know that way? Like, you'll use it up in something. So I'm going to stick that one in here, just underneath that last peony. And I know I have a little bit of a waste of show, but you listen, bear with me and we see how it goes, okay? I'm not finished. I'm still making it up as I go along. So can you see just a little bit of foliage there at the end, right? So now I have these amazing calla lilies. I just think these are absolutely gorgeous, and these fabulous roses. So can you see what I did? I took my own advice and I went around picking out the flowers, all the same shades and colours. You getting it, Paula?
Oh,
okay. Picked all, you know, colours that complement each other. It just makes such a difference. So I'm going to start with the rose first. I know I said calla lily. And out to one side there, I'm just going to bring that rose just kind of like hanging there off the edge, hanging off the cliff, okay? Yeah. And out to that corner, I'm just going to keep like a little group of roses, okay? No particular pattern, no particular system. Just going to stick them in, hope for the best. If it doesn't work out, I'll take it back out and I'll stick it in somewhere else. So I've 3 of them in so far, get in there, just to kind of give you an idea. And giving every flower kind of its own little bit of space. I want one kind of hanging down a little bit onto the twig ring, do you know the way, on that side there. I'm probably going to give that leaf a hair trim because it's hiding that rose there. And I've one more, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm just going to come up a little bit higher than it, stick it in. And I do say eeny, meeny, miny, mo loads of times. Talk to myself, eeny, meeny, miny, mo, where will it go? Cut off that leaf so that we can see it. There you go, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your auntie, and I have a group of roses in there. Now I'm going to go to the opposite side and I'm going to put in a few calla lilies. So again, see, I'm kind of giving it a little bit of a modern twist, okay? So I'm going to have one calla lily kind of hanging down there in the front because it just thinks it'll look nice. And again, I'm just going to do a bit of zigzaggy, sticking them in, giving them their own space. Don't really know where I'm going to put them yet, but I'll find somewhere. And I'm going to keep all them little bits of greenery that's left over because I'm going to use them for filling in the back of it afterwards, okay? Thanks. So again, keeping them kind of down low. I don't want to take from the bit of height you see that I have there already. And I always like to bring one, you know the way there's always a nosy neighbour in from the back there having a peek around, you know what I mean? So kind of bring it kind of back, so you have kind of a nosy one just looking in. See the way it gives us a little bit of depth, you see in the arrangement. And then I'm going to try and hide my oasis, and unfortunately, I haven't got any moss. I could cut up loads of good greenery and hide it, but sometimes you don't want to do that, where it is cheaper to put the moss in. And by putting a bit of spray on it beforehand, you know, that way it also helps a little bit of camouflaging. But if you want to give me another stem of that one, Paula, if you have, you see the winey coloured one, and I'll just bring a little bit of it into the back. So I just see there's a leaf here, and I'm just going to thread it onto this stem, if it works. It does work. There we go. Again, cut up. You need good scissors for cutting these. Now my scissors is not great, by the way, but Charlie gave me his pliers, but I'm actually working grand with my scissors, even though I would say it's not great. It's not great because I'm using it quite a lot. So I need a bit more than this, right? But just to kind of give you an idea, but I'm going to use some of this nice stuff. So whatever the ingredients was there earlier on, everybody add another stem onto it. I haven't a clue. Don't ask me afterwards, what did you use? Because I'm going to say I made it up as I went along. So hopefully somebody's writing this all down. I know Leonie is going to be organised, that she'll put photographs of these up on her Instagram or Facebook page. She's going to put up the list of ingredients, but she's also going to put all the links to it so you can buy it. So again, for anybody that's watching online on YouTube, and you're saying, God, you might like, I don't know, do you like this one? Any feedback? I'm talking to yourself. So if anybody does like this arrangement and wants to copy it, again, you can always rewind the video to re-watch it again. Unfortunately, you have to listen to me again, but you can turn the volume down. You know what I mean? You have to listen. And at least, Leonie, you'll have all the list of ingredients for you to fill in. So you can see this is going to look a little bit better at the back now that I've kind of like filled it in. And if you needed any of these leaves a little bit longer, you could always add a little bit of leaf onto them. Now, I always like, have I got another perfect flare? I always, remember we talked about the nosy neighbour? I always love to get a flare and stick it into the back of the arrangement, and I call it the Elwyn in the other bed. Not that this would probably be brought to a hospital, but if this was brought into the hospital to me and I'm in bed there, delighted with myself, looking at my flares, and you come forward to you're the Elwyn, and she's the Elwyn in the other bed that got nothing. All she has to look at is the back of my arrangement, and you know earlier on it looked shite. At least now it doesn't look too bad. And if you have a flare, even, you know, in fresh, I'd say, like even a broken flare, just stick a flare head into the back of the arrangement, and the poor Elwyn then she'll be delighted. She'll get better. So there you go, I'll let you stick that down there, and again you can look down on it. So just like that. Absolutely, yeah, we clear all this. Hold on. That's not blocking anyone's view, is it? No. Right, these hat boxes, they were down on that aisle, they're in another colour. The other colours as well, I just thought they were beautiful. And this is the bigger one, and they have smaller ones as well. So you can see there, I've just basically filled it with dry floral foam. It's not glued in, it's wedged in. So a bit like how I get into my jeans, wiggle, you know, pull them up, beat all the fat in, and that's basically how that oasis is in there. It's not going to fall anywhere, it's wedged in. And normally I use like a kebab stick or a wooden skewer or something like that for the lids. But anyway, Charlie hadn't got it, so he had this plastic stem. So all I did was I just made a little hole, you see in the edge of the lids there, stuck that stick through, stuck a bit of sellotape on it, okay? And then what I'm able to do then is stick it down into your arrangement, and the lid then becomes part of it, you know that way? But otherwise you could actually stand the lid underneath the end of the box, and then the person could reuse it afterwards. But if it is artificial, they're probably going to have this. Again, they throw it out, they'll be sick of it. Where if it's fresh flowers, they may reuse the hat box again. Now, I have a selection of stuff here. I found another calla lily. That could have done for the Elwyn in the other bed. So, I thought these were lovely, and I just thought they were picking up the colours, you see, in the hat box. So again, like, the hat box caught my eye. And then I walked up and down the aisles with the hat box, you know, and I kept putting it against the flowers. And I just kind of said, yeah, they look nice. You know, they're in, we buy 2 bunches just to be on the safe side. And I thought they look really nice as well. They're like a little mini peony. Just think these are great value. So that's how I kind of came up with the combination. And I thought that colour eucalyptus was great against that colour box instead of the other foliages that I used. So again, either pick your flowers first and then find a container, or pick out your container and then pick your flowers, okay? But don't be walking around saying, yeah, I'll have that, yeah, I'll have that, oh, I'll get wires, you know, that way. Have a little bit of a plan, you know, that way in your head. And again, if anybody, like, we'll hang on here for a while afterwards, and if anybody needs any help, you know, that way, picking out stuff, I might be able to help you, but I'll try anyway. Okay, so first of all, the great thing about these little ranunculus branches, okay, is there's foliage on them already. So if I was doing a fresh hat box, let's move that here later. If I was doing a fresh hat box, I'd probably put all the greenery in first, and then I would put the flowers in between it. But with artificial, it's sometimes just easier if there is foliage on the stems, as there is here. And again, you can see, like, look at the value that you're getting. Like, I'm blind. Now, not that I need glasses, like, there's nothing wrong with my eyesight, but the typing is too small on these price lists, so I haven't a clue enough here. Much?
$3.90 a bunch.
Like, that's a bargain.
And don't forget, you have your 10% discount if you use
yeah.
the KAYSFS.
And again, anybody watching online, use the discount code KAYSFS for K's Flower School. Well, these are tied together, it's a bit straight timing, isn't it? And you'll get a 10% discount. So listen, it's a win-win situation. You don't need to show your arse for that one. You don't need the rubber stamp.
No.
So we're cutting up the two little bunches of ranunculus. I'm going to cut up the one little bunch of the little mini peonies. Again, you might walk around. We were rushed tonight. Like, as I said, we were like that, you know, supermarket checkout thing, running up and down the aisles, picking out flowers. So you might see something different, you know, another shade that you think would be good value. I think them carnations are great value. You've seen me using them a few times. And I know back in school we have used them as well.
Jeanette Eleanor online said that you should call the purple one Bridgerton.
Bridget?
Bridgerton.
Oh, Bridgerton. Somebody said that today as well.
Yeah.
It must be in a purple euro today.
Yeah, you must be.
Because if you follow us on Case Flower School, we actually did a fresh hat box arrangement, but we used fresh lilac out of your own garden. Well, it was out Deirdre's garden. Now, I know a lot of you will probably say it won't last. Listen to the video. I have all the tricks how you get your lilac to last. I also used wisteria, and again, you're going to say it doesn't last. Follow the video, and I'll show you the little tricks. And I just bought a bunch of cheap roses in the supermarket, and a bit of dried sea spray that I
And
happened
it
to
was
have in
the purple
school.
hat box from here.
And it was a purple hat box from here, it was. It actually says lavender on the outside of the box. They still have them down there. I thought it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It cost me nothing. I think it was a £5 for the bunch of roses, you know, that way. Like, very, very little. So can you see the way I've cut up everything there? Keep all your stems, all the rest. Now we're back to beginners, so this is for the gobshite, okay, that couldn't follow the numbers. The same shady man. So what we're just going to do is here and there around the outside of the arrangement. You see the way I'm kind of going in on a slant, you know, that way we're going to add in a couple of ranunculus. Now again, leave a little bit of space in between them. Think of the tin of peas. What if I run out and that side of the family doesn't get any peas, okay? So spread them out, because that's a mistake people make, is they get kind of carried away and they put them all around the outside, tipping off each other. I'm bringing up a few there at the back, just to kind of cover the lid, you know, where I had the stick where it was a bit messy. And then I'm going to stick a few of them in the middle. So again, we're dividing them up as best I can, giving every flower its own space. Would you agree I'm fecking them in any old way? Like, no pattern, no system, no number ones, no number twos, no number threes, just sticking them in, okay? There's still one or two more of them there. Now I'm moving on to the little peonies, okay? So again, in between that, here and there, we'll give them a few beans. We'll give her a bit of sausage. You get the idea? And we'll give her a few peas. There's not enough on her plate. There's still some left in the pot. We'll stick more in there, and we'll stick more in there. Do you know that way? So again, that's what it's all about. It's just kind of dividing them up. And the great thing about the artificial is you can maneuver it if something is sticking out wrong. We'll just kind of hold it sideways, you see? So that's 3 of the little bunches. 2 of the ranunculus and 1 of the little mini peony. Now I'm on to the baby carnation. So again, around the outside, here and there, not necessarily between every one of them, do you know that way? But just here and there, and again, a few of them, that was another peony, and then a few of them to the middle of it. And then the last stage is a little bit of eucalyptus, and this is just for covering any of the gaps and any of the mechanics. And I just thought this colour leaf was brilliant, you know that way, we thought it was a great colour. So I'm allowing some of it to be seen. You know, sometimes with greeny, it's sinking right down. I have to unfortunately look at myself while I'm doing this stage, because again, I'm still making it up as I go along. But and I'd love if I had one more flower. Hold on, see, can I wiggle one? Hold on, there we go. No, I don't need another flower, it's grand. A little bit of wiggle, and we can fill it in. So just sticking in the little bits of eucalyptus, just pulling off the bottom leaves if I need an extra bit of stem, and just to give us a little bit of colour, so I'm not sinking it in. And that's another idea. If you're putting in your greenery last, like you'll actually see it. Where if you put the greenery in first, chances are it's all going to be hidden. So just check around the back there. Probably you could do with just a little bit of greenery around the back. And let's see what I have here. Actually, I have this one here. That was for this as well, I think.
Oh, it was actually, yeah.
So, don't know what this is called.
Herb filler.
Little bit of filler.
Herb.
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 Oh, herb filler.
Yeah.
Right, so again, just cut that up. So it's kind of like, I'm using it kind of like another bit of greenery. Waste not, want not, don't throw nothing out. Even that little bit of leaf on that big stick there, you'll actually do there into the side. You see the way to get it in. So don't throw anything out. So where I possibly felt I could have done another flower, enough. I'll wire that short one in a second just to get a little bit longer. I'm just going to stick that one in. And again, it's just giving me another little texture to see in through the arrangement. And again, when you're doing fresh flowers, it's one of the things like I'd say to the students, like try and get textures in your arrangement. Like to do a flower arrangement in only roses, it can be lovely. But if you do it in roses and carnations, or roses, carnations and gyp, or roses, carnations, couple of chrysanthemums and gyp, it looks so much nicer. So the more different shaped flowers that you can get in your flower arrangements, the more different textures, you know, that way, like, you know, again, you know, the feel of that, again, it makes your arrangements look so much nicer. Now these three little short bits that I pulled off, I'm going to stick them in the back. So I'm going to use the wire, and I'm going to do it cheat way, I'm not going to use the gutted tape. So the top of the wire, I'm going to make a little hook. So hopefully you can see that hook. Can you see it against my hand, right? I'm going to place that hook on the bottom of the stem, and I'm going to wrap the wire around. So the little hook I made stopped the wire moving. You see when I twisted it? I'll do it again. So you make the hook, because if I didn't make the hook and I just rest the wire in there, when I'm doing that, it keeps moving. So make the hook, rest it on the end. It doesn't matter if it goes to the front or the back, okay? Place your thumb on it. Hold the wire halfway down. That's a trick. Everybody holds the wire up here. Hold the wire halfway down here, and then you put your full 6 stone body weight behind the wire. Another way. That's all the way I am here. And I have one more piece, okay? So again, hairpin bend, place it on the end, 6 stone weight, round it, round and round you go, cut them short. Now before I stick them into the oasis, I'm making a little hook, you see on the end of the wire. If I had gutted taped them wires, the wire would actually grip the floral foam no bother. But because it's a raw wire, it'll kind of slip back out again. So by putting that little hook at the end, it actually does the job. And I've done the job here at the back there, you see, just to cover it in. Probably could do one more little piece there. Now this leaf is off something else, but it doesn't matter. Let me just get another wire. Again, you see that was off one of the other arrangements. So again, at the end, hairpin bend, rest it on the end, wrap it around, straighten it back out again, cut it a bit shorter, do a little bend at the end of the wire, and stick it in there, and it'll just cover, just see the mechanics there at the back. So there you have another little kind of like hot box arrangement. Again, for the beginner flower arrangement, you know that nice flower arranger, really easy to copy. Like you can go along there, you can pick out all the bunches that suit your style, your colour. You might like all the colours I like, but like it has loads of hot boxes down there. And they are sold individually, Paula, are they?
Most of them are.
Most of them are, because sometimes with hot boxes, I know some of the wholesalers we use, you have to buy a set of 3. And you'll always use the big one, you'll always use the medium, and by God, you'll be stuck with the small one. You never, you know, you can never get rid of it. Where these, even the small one that's in this range is a decent, it's what I'd call the medium one. They haven't got the baby one. There's nothing wrong with the baby one, but I like if I can buy them individually, that I can buy the size that I want. Again, that would make a lovely birthday present, anniversary present. It's Mother's Day on the continent this year, so if anybody has their mother in Germany or Holland or any of them other countries, it's Mother's Day over there.
Teachers' presents.
Teachers' present, end of year. Thank you, teachers. Thank you for the teachers, the nuns, the one that gave out the sandwiches, the cleaner in the school, the resource teacher, the SNA. There's one to buy about 20 hot boxes down there, especially if you have 2 kids in the school. So there we go. Give you the job there. Thanks a million. So, do you like that one? Yes. Right. I've one more. So this is the last one. And it's just that, like, you know the way sometimes people say, oh, the last one be the best one? Not necessarily. It's whatever one came to my hand, okay? So this is the last one here. In saying that, I love this one. These are little baskets that he has. And he has them in another shape. It's a roundy shape, you know? I liked the oval one. And again, I have the Oasis wired in. You could glue it in, you know that way. But you see the way I have the wire twisted in the centre, like the way I did the barbed wire earlier on. And then I hooked the wire through the little gaps in the basket, you know the way, on both sides. And then I'm always saying, to be sure, to be sure, to be feckin' well sure. Because that's another Irish saying, to be sure, to be sure. But to be feckin' well sure. So you put an extra wire across it, just in case A, B, C, D, E, F, G. You know, one of them kids swinging it all over the place. I remember doing a Blair Girls basket for somebody before, and it was a neighbour, and we weren't invited to the wedding, but we went around to the church to see them, which is something in Dublin anyway that you do. And there's the young one in the church grounds swinging the basket, and the feckin' flares flying all over the place. Oasis and all, hadn't got a word in properly. Now I blamed the young one, but really, it was my fault. Now, if you want to write down what I'm using, I thought these colours were lovely. So these are little kind of like chrysanthemum bushes. Again, the writing is too small, so we can't see the price on it. I think they do that.
$3.90.
The writing too small. Isn't this gorgeous? Yeah. Haven't a clue what it is. Wasn't it fabulous? Thistle. Ringham. There we have like again another little bit of filler. It looks like Bavaria. I'm not really sure what it is. Just thought the colour of that was going to complement. So you see, Paula, the way I walked around, I picked out all the shades. And I had my basket under the arm, you know that way, and I was placing it against my materials. And see how it works? It's so easy. And then we see these white flowers. What do you all call these? Yeah, hares, tails, rabbits' tails, fuzzy duzzies. Liguras is the proper name, but nobody calls them Liguras. And you can spray them different colours, even though they come in dyed. So if you had your gold spray at Christmas, you can spray them gold or silver or whatever the colours. I won't use all of that bunch, by the way. So again, I'm back to cutting up my bushes. Trimming your bush. Did y'all get your bush trimmed for the summer? Supposed to have nice weather at the weekend. So you need your bushes trimmed. So we're cutting that up. I don't think I used the full second stem bush. I'll just cut one or two of them off. Purposely looking for the longer one. Okay. So, right, and a little bit greeny. Again, making it up as I go along. We're going to see where it's going. Rather than making this like the hat box with everything stuck down into it, which would be really easy to do, just copy what I did there with the hat box. I'm just going to get a little bit of height on one side of the arrangement and then kind of fill in the end of it. So it's not going to be L-shaped or asymmetrical. It's going to be a kind of a made-up kind of version of an L-shape or asymmetrical. Now I want to get an extra bit of height, so I'm going to cheat. And you see the way I'm placing one to see over the other like that. We would do that in bridal work, you know, to get a tail coming out of a wedding bouquet. And again, I'm using that gutted tape. This gutted tape is magic. They have it in different colours. The white one is brilliant for, I would use the white one for flower crowns, floral wands, flower girls hoops, corsage work, wrist corsages. I mostly use the green for flower arranging, but the brown one is great. The other one's coughing. Jamie Mac. Just getting a drink of water, it'll be grand. Put a
There's one there.
Okay. You know the lovely rustic rings that they have there. You know they're kind of real, kind of like natural brown colour. If you're wiring them together, get the brown tape. It's very hard to get the brown tape, but when you wire them together, you don't really see it. And again, if you're getting the white rings to wire them together like what I did, get the white gutted tape. So there, I've just made that stem a little bit longer. I'm kind of over to one side, stepped in from the edge, like feet not against the wall. Okay, stepped in from the edge, slightly tilted back, and there I have the flower there to see, just at the top of the arrangement. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a little bit of flower at the bottom of the arrangement. So without kind of like confusing you too much, I'm going to call that number 1, because number 1 is always the top of the arrangement. I'm doing the numbers the right way around this time. And now I'm going to put in number 2, and number 2 is always at the bottom of the arrangement. Remember in the last one I put number 2 in first. That was to wake you up, because you were starting to yawn and get bored. Number 3 is the halfway mark, okay? And I'm going to go slightly to the left-hand side, the halfway mark. Okay? The number 4 is halfway between the 1 and the 3. So it's a little bit taller to the right hand side. There we go. And like normally when I'd be teaching students this, I would probably stick to single flares rather than, like doubles or sprays, because it's easier for them to see. And number 5 is halfway between the 3 and the 2, which is the middle and the bottom, okay? And again, slightly off center. So when I turn that around, actually we talked about the pregnancies, and I never told you the full story about the pregnancies, okay? It was that much trying to push the IVF at Case Flower School. So when you're making a flower arrangement, you don't want your flower arrangement to come out in a big bump, you see, when you're looking at it sideways. And it's a mistake that people make. That's why I was telling you about the IVF, okay? So make sure that you have, can you see the slide?
Yeah.
Like this one has just been eaten a bit at Christmas, that sort of way, but it hasn't got the full 9-month bloom, okay? So again, just watch that from the side of your arrangements. So that's my 5 points kind of staggered down through. These were in the bush, okay? So I'm just going to cut these up. I'm going to stick them in and out through there, just as a little bit of a filler. And again, waste not, want not, use up all the little bits and pieces, okay? So we'll just turn that around just so you can see that side of there, right? So now we're going to work kind of across the arrangements. So we have a look at what we have. So we have these thistles. So I'm just going to cut these up short. There we go. And again, I'm hoping to get good value out of these. I've been able to get a few of them out of it. Again, don't waste any of the leaf, because you've seen the way I was stuck there for leaf earlier on, that way. So throw that into your waste not box or whatever, that you keep all your bits and pieces in. It's a little bit hard there to cut. The further you go down the stem, sometimes it's a little bit harder to cut. Right, so I've cut up that thistle. I wonder how these are to cut. Actually, these are really easy, right? So we'll cut up a bit of this. I don't think I need them all, just a few of them. What I'm going to try and do is more like a textured basket at the end. And again, a couple of little, did you get that vodka? Did you? She stopped coughing when we mentioned the drink. So now she's dead. One of you. Still alive. She's still alive in the corner. She's grand. Put the coughing spray away. Right, so we'll cut this up into a few little bits, and again, cutting up the little bits of leaf off it. Right, so at the end of the arrangement, I'm going to pick up that bit of thistle. I'm going to cut this one a bit shorter. And I'm going to stick in a short bit of thistle. And another short bit of thistle. And another short bit, and another short bit, and I'm not really going to follow any system or any pattern. I'm just going to stick a few little bits and bobs, you see, into the bottom of the basket. Can you see that effect, right? And I might stick 1 or 2 over this side. See, there's 1 or 2 still on the table. There we go. See, just over that side.
Yeah.
Now I'm going back to the thistly side, okay? And I'm going to use a little bit of this Bavaria, and again, I'm just going to stick a little bit of it here, a little bit of there, a little bit over here, a little bit in the middle, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Might stick another bit over here, just have a look around the back, and we'll stick another one in the back. Again, can you see the way beginners flower arranging? But when you have all the textures, that way, that's what makes the arrangements really, really interesting. Again, I'll just kind of hold it up to see, just so you can see it coming together. Now I'm going to get a few of them little chrysanthemums, but I want to keep them short because I don't want to take from the bit that's coming up, right? So again, just here and there, a few little chrysanthemums. We found another little bit of filler. We'll stick that in there. You never know what you find on the table, so we'll stick a few of them in there, and I'm kind of coming across little bits of leaf on the table as well, and I'm just using up little bits as I come along. Okay. Right. And then I still have a few more chrysanthemums there. Then I want to get a little bit of this leaf, just thought the colour of this was nice. So you can see I'm cutting the sprigs into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, because I don't really know, or 6, as many little bits as I can. I'm trying to keep them short. And again, just kind of like sticking them in among what I've done already. I have to say, I love the colour of that leaf. Isn't it fabulous? Again, like for weddings, like these sort of shades are really popular for weddings. And if you're making up artificial wedding bouquets, which is very popular as well, the colours will be lovely. Or often what I do is when I'm using fresh roses in kind of like them kind of cappuccino colours, I often would use an artificial leaf. Once the customer knew about it, I wouldn't do it without saying it to her, what I mean? But I'd say, listen, I have this fabulous leaf, and that would look amazing with that fresh rose, rather than putting green eucalyptus or whatever the other leaf was, just kind of something different. So again, just coming around the back here and there, but again, I'm looking for cop-on spots. Remember we talked about that earlier on? So a little bit here and there, just kind of like filling in, but not filling it in completely, because I have other stuff, that I want to get in and out through it. Now I have the Legoras, or fluffy tails, right? So I'm going to get a few of these. Never open up the whole packet. pull out what you want. You see like that there, right? Stagger them in your fingers. Do you see the way I'm doing that, right? Clean off any of the ends, hold them there. Then guess it, I think I'll go back there. I'm just going to bring a few of them up through the top of it. You see, rather than sticking them in ones or twos. Okay? And then I'm going to get a few more, and that's what I'm going to try and do, is kind of like stagger a few of them, just kind of down through the kind of chrysanthemums. So I won't keep turning around just for a second, just so I can kind of watch what I'm doing. So again, like pull a few of them out at the same time, then stagger them in your fingers. There we go. She's off again. She's alive. She's back again. And then we'll add a few more in there. This turned out nice. Nice little, again, like lots of little textures in this arrangement. Just going to look just that little bit different. And I'll add a few of them in through the bottom of the arrangement as well in a few minutes. I'm a devil for doing that, cutting some of them out of the bunch, staggering them in the bunch and cutting them, and then somebody comes along afterwards and pulls out loads of stems and there's no fluffies on the top of the floor, cutting them all off. So you shouldn't really do that, that's a bad habit. I'll turn this around to you now, just at this stage, just to kind of give you an idea. See how they come together. So again, you can see like it's all about the textures. Now what you can do is you can get a few of them, but this time leave them all the same height, okay? So pull them out and push them all up to the top and cut them short. And you know that little trick I showed you? They're in the danger corner there. But the insurance company is Twig directors. Hairpin bend, wrap it around. Remember that little trick I showed you earlier on? Cut the wire short, but allow enough to make a little hook to see at the bottom. So see where I made the little bunch, okay? And again, into the bottom part of the arrangement, you see the way I'm able to add in little groups of them. So now I'm kind of like looking for cop-on spots, yellow one in the other bed, fill in, fill in, fill in, you know the way, just kind of like looking for little gaps. I'm going to make a few more of them little fluffy duffies, little groups of them as well. Every time I read it up, she thought she sees me. This flesh used to fit me. So there we go. So push them all up to the top, cut your wire, cut your stems, get your bit of wire. Again, I'm using the bit of wire from earlier on that was left over. Hairpin bend, wrap it around, bend up the bit of wire at the bottom and then stick it down into your floral foam. So we'll do a few of them. And Paula will have the full list of the ingredients, won't you, Paula? Because I can't remember what I'm after using at this stage. There we go. But it makes you look at them little baskets completely different. But if you don't like the one standing up, you know that way, as I said, you can just do it like this side, but all the way across. So just a little bit of inspection here now for a few little kind of little gaps. How much are them baskets, Paula?
$9.90.
All right, that's actually very valuable. I can imagine them at Christmas. So you cut up a bit of cellophane or plastic and line the inside of them. Actually, I think they are lined. Were they lined already?
I'm not too sure.
I can't get my finger in there anymore. I actually think they are lined, so you could use them for Christmas for fresh arrangements. But again, they are lined, yeah. So even better for Christmas time. But even though you might look at the kind of rustic look and think autumn, winter, but when you kind of use the more subtle colours, again, spring, summer, and there's lots of other shades. So think of all the little cop. If I look close enough, I'll probably see a little bit of the cop on spot. So I'm just going to cut this bit of foliage, stick it in there at the back. And if you see any more cop on spots, don't be telling me about them. So that's my 5th arrangement. How did I do? Half 8. I said if you want to, take photographs of any of the arrangements, have a look. Myself and Deirdre will be on the floor there if anybody needs a hand, you know the way, or needs a bit of advice or help or picking out. Don't ask Paula, whatever you do. And she's well trained now, she knows what she's looking for now. If you're needing a little bit of help or advice, or if you have a container, the girls are passing around the bucket, and we don't want to hear the bucket rattling, do we? Silent money.
Oh, we've tickets as well.
Tickets. Oh yeah. Yeah, everybody loves a raffle. What were the tickets again?
€2 each and 3 for 5.
And 12 for €20, doesn't it? If you don't have change, you have no change. You get 12 tickets for your €20. So they've loads of bottles of wine here. They've gift sets. They've a fabulous hamper. It's actually a flower hamper. There's oases and silk flowers and bits and pieces. Loads of lovely presents over there. So again, dig into your pockets there.
Jeanette,
Get your raffle tickets.
just say goodbye.
So anybody that's watching on YouTube, listen, thanks a million for joining us. Again, the link for the GoFundMe to support the RD and District Support Cancer Group is in the comments there below. And we will tell them how you get the free course.
Ash, go on, tell them.
Okay. So because we didn't set up the GoFundMe, normally the way we work it is that when you make the donation on the GoFundMe, you get an email back saying thanks a million for your €100 donation, and here is the link for the free course. But because we didn't set up the GoFundMe, we couldn't do that. So now I have to tell you how to get the free course, and I'm telling you, if anybody takes this free course without making a donation, I'll make a show of you. I'll go Ireland AM tomorrow. So to get the free course, go to our website. Are you listening? www.caseflowerschool.com. Go to the blog button on the website, and it's the very first blog. All the details are there. You just click on it and you have that free course, okay? And we're going to trust you. So we're not going to rubber stamp your arses. We're going to trust you that you make a donation. But listen, anybody watching, thanks a million. Again, support an amazing cause. And if you need any of the materials that I've used here tonight, get in touch with Charlie and Paula. Paula's actually okay, she is. Charlie and Paula here at Evergreen Silk Class. Thanks a million and good night.